actually happened, and you go into the instances of medical experimentation, MK Ultra, Project Monarch, Tuskegee syphilis experimentation. Here in Minneapolis, they were spraying chemicals during the 1950s as an experiment. My understanding is a number of kids wound up being retarded. Tavistock, I don't know if they're considered military, but I mean, all you have to do is bring up the documented existence of U.S. government experimentation, and it will KO any argument. Some people might argue, well, that's not going on today. And my attitude about that is, oh, really? You prove it. They've done it in the past. The best prognosticator of behavior is past behavior. How do you know they're not going to do it? How do you know? It's like, this is what's happened in the past. Yeah, hi.
Hi, could I ask a question? My name is Ann from Massachusetts.
Yeah, hi,
I was wondering, you're so informative. Could you work on making up a flyer about that? Because I've got some wealthy white people in this really small neighborhood where I am all day, and they're harassing me, and the cops harass me, and they repeat things at the elementary school in front of children that I've said. I've got Tony housewife stalking me, like in different towns, but she lives down the street. Like, it's really creepy, and I need a really good flyer. And you sound so informative. I'd love it if you'd work on one or several.
Okay.
I'm working on some.
Actually, that's a good idea. I'll tell you, here's my dilemma. Right now, I'm currently working on moving out of my place, and I've really got my hands full until November 1st. But I'll tell you what, if you're willing to be patient, and if you're willing to wait for the long haul, I can certainly start working on, I can try to get some ready before the end of this year, because I've honestly been thinking about developing flyers myself. So yeah, I could try to do that. And I just
that would be great. You know what? I'll work on mine this weekend. I'll send out a first wave, and then I'll wait a couple of months. And if you produce something, I'll send out another wave.
Okay. Let me give you a hint. Yeah, let me give you a hint. This is what I can recommend for your flyers, if I may point out. If you're interested in putting forth the history of gang stalking, let me refer to you to a magnificent site, www.fightgangstalking.com. I'll repeat that, and you can write this down, www.fightgangstalking.com. It's fightgangstalking.com, FIGHTGANGSTALKING.com. That's where I got originally the history. Also, if you want to, you can Google, or better yet, look for YouTube videos of Dr. Ewan Cameron, MK Ultra, history, DSM, et cetera. Those videos should still be up. I can make a recommendation. Let me ask you this. Do you have contact with Frank?
I listened to all of Frank's calls. I didn't stay up till 4 a.m. the other night, but I do like Frank's calls.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, tell you what, when I get some of these flyers ready, or when I'm working on them, what I can try to do is get a hold of you. Now, you said you're Ann from Massachusetts?
Right.
Okay. I can get a hold of Frank, let him know that I've got some stuff ready for you. He can contact you, and then if you feel more comfortable about some of the stuff I produced, or as you've gotten to know me, more and more, we can then trade phone numbers and email addresses and addresses, and we can basically get to networking. Because I like the idea of producing the history of gang stalking and also the history of medical experimentation by the U.S. government. And I think that's a great thing. Yeah, and especially if we look at the origins of the DSM, and we talk about Dr. Ewan Cameron, then I think this information, getting this information out to the public, can go a long way towards opening the eyes of a lot of mental. It can go a long way towards really punching a hole in the idea that, oh, you're just paranoid. No, I'm not. This stuff really does exist, and it's insidious, and it's horrible. And, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
I was curious if that was a wide beam transmission and it took out the American embassy, it would seem to me that Cubans around the area may have been affected as well. And something else to note, all of our American embassies, the glass is plated with gold. It has gold flecks in it, and that's designed to stop any kind of radio transmission. But if that was in fact just a sound blast, that's totally different. I've seen demonstrations of those where they've actually knocked people down in a hallway with a small version.
Oh, yeah.
Hey Frank, I was reading about that, and most of them were targeted at their homes around the embassy.
Okay. All right.
They were targeting in their homes.
Okay, so that was a large blast that was actually aimed specifically at the embassy, but there was collateral damage, we'll say.
Well, I even heard. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I read somewhere that in case of some Canadian diplomats that got affected, even their family members of their home, got affected by these attacks as well.
So that was a pretty foolish attack. I think the origin of that can be picked up just by the trajectory. In other words, a computer enhancement would show the exact direction, and I think they can probably pinpoint the location. I would
agree with that.
Unless it was mobile. That's the same device that you see mounted. I have a picture of it myself. It's actually a large transponder mounted on a 6x6 Army truck. So that's probably something that was moved out of the way. They struck and then backed out of there. But it's something that we can use. We should keep all of the articles about that particular incident close at hand all the time. Let that be part of your flyers. And just that would be a good premise to say, as you were speaking earlier about paranoia. Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We might be paranoid, but look at this, So that's something to hold on to. Because that's
I agree with it.
First general attack on an installation, we'll say.
Yeah, and also, if I may point out, there is a video out there that talks about Michael Aquino and the Phoenix program.
Right.
Where Aquino wrote a paper called Mind War. I want to get a copy of that paper. In Mind War, he actually advocated using directed energy weapons, or he recommended, he advocated launching a Phoenix program against dissidents of the Vietnam War. He actually advocated, I think, Vietnam War or American dissidents. He advocated for this. He got cold busted doing it. So there's no question that certainly, there have been advocates for this in the U.S. government. If Aquino got caught advocating for this, I guarantee you there's probably tons more people that thought it was a good idea behind the lines or, out of sight. I guarantee it.
Maybe that's what happened to the young people at Ohio State. And perhaps the people that shot, I think there were 4 individuals or 5 individuals shot. I think that maybe they were mind controlled.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. And I'll tell you another thing too. I think there's gang stalkers who think that they've got free will, but in reality, they're mind controlled too. I really do. I mean, mind control, unfortunately, is becoming a very common thing nowadays.
Yes, it is.
If you follow MMA, mixed martial arts, like for example UFC fighting, Google it. I mean, not Google it, but search for it on YouTube. There's very, very good videos that are convincing that Conor McGregor was probably a mind control puppet. And that's really a tragedy because I like Conor McGregor. Even though I rooted for Mayweather, I really did like Conor McGregor. I mean, I think he's a nice guy in a way. I think he missed his calling when he should have become a comedian rather than a fighter. But he's got some worth to him as a human being. But the problem with McGregor, bless him and free him, is that he appears to be a mind control puppet. You can search for it yourself on YouTube. These things are becoming very, very, very common. And unfortunately, there's reasons to believe that the Illuminati have already taken over that sport on the large level or on the upper level. I mean, it's pretty much a sad thing. And, well, you know, that's to be expected. The Illuminati took over our entertainment industry. If you look at MMA, it's entertainment. So, of course, they'd be trying to take that over. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, you know. Okay, on that note, I'm going to be silent for a while and let others talk.
Okay, would anybody else like to speak? Add to Bird's summation?
Does anybody else have wealthy white people in very tiny, tony towns stalking them? Like everyone on the street is involved. I think it's like the neighborhood watch group or something gone mad. Like this woman has 3 children, a husband, a $1.5 million house that she grew up in. There's several of those because these people never leave these tiny towns. And she's got kids, but she's like stalking me. It's in like, they do it in front of the kids. They say things in front of the kids. I mean, I can't wait to blast this whole town with all of my information over and over and over. Because why should we have to put up with it? Why can't we educate these people that like you don't stalk other human beings with an app? I'm not a Pokemon Go. I'm not.
They are slowly,
right?
They are slowly but surely being educated by current events, number one, and it's becoming so rampant that family members are becoming affected of people in high places, we'll say, and it's getting so that somebody in every family is going to be affected by this. In other words, the sergeant from the police department, okay, all of a sudden he finds out his daughter is affected by this. And then they all start to wake up and realize that, okay, this isn't a dream. This is really happening. Go ahead.
Frank, I want to tell you, this woman, last week she comes up and grabs me and pulls me towards her in the middle of the elementary school playground and hugs me and says, all this stuff. And then the next thing I know, she's rolling down her window talking to me like a couple of days later. And then she's like stalking me as she does this. Like she must, I mean, I don't know what they told her, but like, you don't think I'm going to pick up on the fact that you're stalking me and then you're like hugging me and trying to be nice? Are you joking? And then we've got the Tony Town cop who hates his job, who lives in the house with the woman who grew up in the same house because she can't like have her own life and move like out and like, I mean, these people are so small-minded. And I mean, if you live in a small town and you're small-minded and you don't stalk people, that's great. But if you live in a small town and you're small-minded and then you stalk human beings like a Pokemon Go game, you're a wealthy white racist, I think. I don't know what to say about it. I shouldn't use that name. I'm sorry, Frank.
They have.
But they're just, I don't understand them.
Well, it comes down to this too. You're very wealthy. We'll say you have millions of dollars, okay, and you live in a small town, and you have a gaming room, and you have nothing to do.
Yes.
So you acquire this software, and I'm going to bring up a very interesting point today that someone sent me. But they have nothing to do, so they find this. They've tried every game in the world. Their gaming room is full of hunting trophies. It's full of electronic games all the way back to the 60s, we'll say, or 70s or 80s. And they finally found the ultimate game to try and control a person. But what I learned today is I have a friend on Facebook who sent me an article and a link to a site where this technology is sold. So that I'm going to distribute as soon as I've had time to read through it more thoroughly, and I will send each one of you links to that. But it would appear
Thank
that
you.
we've found a place that is actually selling it.
Yeah, and I sent that to you, Frank. And you could actually, all right, you could buy one of those products like that. Let's say you have somebody you want to stock that's 100 miles away. Well, you could buy a smaller machine, a more portable machine. You could buy that one. Let's say you want to stock somebody that's 10,000 miles away. There's all sorts of money brackets that you can get into and buy these. They go all the way up to, I think it was like 100,000 miles or meters away or something like that. I can't exactly remember, but it was just incredible the levels of this that I was just in awe reading it, you know. So if I get enough money, I could put my voice into somebody's head and just drive them absolutely crazy and have no problem about it. You know, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
If a person will say is like the text you sent me 1,000 miles away, how does this machine lock in on this person? Does it say?
I have no clue. I just seen it and I pulled it out aside and I printed it out and I'm going to read through it tonight exactly, you know, like completely. But I just kind of breezed through it and I was like, Jesus Christ, they're selling this now, you know. And it's just it had all different size speakers and you know like from the mini portable one to I mean they're all portable, but to each and every one of them. What it is, this thing goes up to a satellite, and then from the satellite, it beams down on whoever this person is, and it's just like buying like gigs on a phone. You could buy 5 gigs on a phone, or you could buy 65 gigs on a phone. The price it keeps fluctuating from up and down there. You know, it's horrible, absolutely horrible.
Well, where did you find this article? Was it readily available, or did you have to really dig for it?
I got it off. I was on a chat, not chat room, a thing where people just post different articles, and I think it was off Terry's site. And then from one of them, I was looking at one of these sites, and I just started searching through the site, and I came up and I seen this booklet, and it was about LRAD and how they, you know, have all these weapons, you know, that can put voices into people's heads, and then I was like, wow, I got to show this to Frank, you know. So, and I'm glad I did because it was just it's just amazing, you know. I mean, it felt like the whole thing is probably like 80 pages long. So like I had just started breezing through it the other day, but I'll delve through it tonight and you know give you like
is it the audio spotlight?
No, this is something totally different.
Oh.
What they're like LRAD has to do with just going to all these you know all these big speaker companies and stuff like that. And what they want to do is like when you go to a concert, you know how there's music all around you and stuff. Well, they want the person to feel the experience and all this and that, so they want to pump it right directly into you. You know, and that's exactly what's happening to us. You know, we're getting all this the V2K, but that's exactly where it's coming from. You know, and
Wow.
it's so what's so crazy how easily available it is, and that they just marketed it and bang, they were selling it. You know.
Yeah,
Is
we'll
this
have to.
Bill?
Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Bill from Boston, no?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Okay, I was just
Yep.
wondering if you were going to the conference with this information.
Well, I'm going to the conference. I mean, I'll let Frank.
Maybe you can repeat it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be at the
Repeat
conference.
it to me anyways, because I'll forget. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully by then we will have acquired total access to one on the premise of
exactly.
education.
Hopefully we will be able to buy one. You know, a buck a person or something like that. You know, and buy one of them. We don't have to buy one of the big 10,000 mile or meter ones. You know, we could just buy the regular portable one, but that, you know, by, asking maybe every TI for 50 cents or $1 or whatever, like I didn't see exactly how much they cost us. Like I said, I just breezed through it and I was just amazed. So, but I did print it out and I will study it, in depth.
Well, thanks a lot, Bill. I really appreciate that because we're starting to see all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. And I'm getting really psyched because I'm starting to think that the V2S or the V2K is separate from the signals that actually hurt you. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say that. I'm not going to say it for sure, but I'm getting to be 90% sure that that's the case. Because if you're in the middle of a power failure, the torture scenario stops, but the V2K doesn't. Okay, and I just had a small power failure here the other day. Now, all of the tactics and the torture stuff stopped, but the V2K or V2S did not. So I would have to say that they're probably two separate transport systems. And I think, Bill, that you just stumbled onto the V2S one, and that's the one that scrambles people's brains. So that together with one of, we'll say, Lockheed Martin's programs, or one MK Ultra program descendant, they could really do some damage. And you may have found the link to the first transport system that we can get.
Yeah, sure. Like, I think they hit us with all separate frequencies, and each one does certain things. Like, just like you said, the V2K is one certain frequency, and then, like, let's say pain in the joints, that's another one, and then, and so on and so on and so on. But, it's the walls are hopefully going to start coming down, especially with this Cuban thing too,
Yeah, the Cubans, the Cuban crisis, they learned quite rapidly, as did we, that we had to have protection against anything electronic for our people overseas. So they came up with this glass that was gold impregnated. And I imagine in the walls or interior walls, or maybe anterior walls too, there was also installed something with this gold material in it. So they found out they could not attack us that way, so they used this sound blast. And I've seen it, like I say, demonstrated in a corridor. And they took this small unit, very small. I think it sat on a table. They pointed it at this individual, hit the switch, and just the sound wave knocked him down. So I'm going to say that's what they used at the embassy, because that doesn't come under the classification of a neural electronic weapon. That's more like a crowd weapon, more like the active denial, only the active denial was actually hot microwaves. So what I'm going to say is, okay, we're finding, individualizing these weapons and into their classes. So what happened in Cuba to me is exclusively an audio weapon, because it's not precise enough to take out just one person or one building. So we had collateral damage in and around the Cuban embassy. So that tells me that it's not a very precise weapon, but it's a very strategically dangerous weapon. And they have not used that, to my knowledge. In the U.S., I have not had anyone call on that. So if that gets loose, what you're going to see is people being arrested, because you cannot pull off a stunt like that and just disappear. Because as I say, they will triangulate on the basis of the sound wave itself and locate either where the individual was, where the truck was parked, or, where ground zero was in terms of launching it. But that's an audio weapon. And the next one that I'm very closely watching is more reports from security agencies such as SIS and Brian Coughlin. And I'm hoping to hear another video from him. I was going to call Derek today, as a matter of fact, to see if he'd been in touch. And Karen Stewart was in touch as well. So we'll have to see if...
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Karen's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we'll see whether there is any more information available, or whether we're dealing with a TI with a fancy entrance. And that's what I'll say, because until Derek got on the call, our call, 2 weeks ago, I think, or last week, I was under the impression that he was definitely just, a fancy entry. We've seen it a few times here and there. But given the information that Derek provided us with that night, I think it was a Wednesday, I'd have to say that he's most definitely almost sitting behind one of those units. But what I wanted from him was clarification on what the attacker was actually sitting in front of. Was it a computer screen? Did he have any other equipment around him, or was it just a computer? And my information tells me that it was just a computer that, in this case, it would seem was tied into their own antenna array, which is most interesting. Because somebody mentioned Gwynn Towers. Now, Gwynn Towers are actually a ground-based. When I say ground-based, they use the earth ground to transmit. It's more like caller, let me see, 4, Ann, that's you. You
I'm sorry.
dragging something across the floor. Do you have a dead perp you're dragging across the floor?
No, I just wanted to ask you something, so I was waiting, but I'll mute.
No, that's okay. I'll be through in a second.
A dead perp drag across. That's really funny. If only. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
We'll help you bury him. No, I can't say that on the air. Yeah, we'll help you bury him.
You just issued the disclaimer that this is only a joke.
Exactly.
Anyway,
This is only a joke and should not be misconceived as an actual act of atrocity on another human being. Thank you. I think that covers it under all the laws. Okay, Ann, if you'd like to speak, go right ahead.
I apologize for interrupting your train of thought.
No problem.
When it comes to Brian Confront, I wanted to ask you if anyone had ever heard of Terry Cassidy from Project Camelot.
Terry
what
Cassidy.
He does, Terry Cassidy from Project Camelot. She interviews whistleblowers. So I sent her an email, and she's in LA, and now Brian's in LA. I said, you really need to interview this whistleblower, because whenever Terry from Project Camelot, she was over at the Bases Ireland conference that they had last week, the Bases Ireland with Miles Johnson. She says that they become famous, when after she interviews, because she's got such a huge crowd that follows her. So I'm really hoping, Frank, that and everyone else, that we can get this out through Brian, through Terry Cassidy and Project Camelot. I'm going to remind her about it.
Okay, so that's Project Camelot. Okay, that won't be the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last time that I've heard that. I just want to make a note of that.
She has whistleblowers galore. Any whistleblower, she's had an interview with them. And she got struck by a scalar wave a couple of years ago. They hit her really bad and deformed half her face, froze it up. But she's got, she did some work on it. And now it's better. But she gave a great talk over the Bases in Ireland conference last week. She might not even be back yet. But that's another great thing to listen to if you want to listen to Terry Cassidy.
Terry Cassidy. Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. My short term.
How do you spell Terry? Oh.
Cassidy, I would think.
Right, but what's your first?
Yeah. Kerry.
Is it Kerry? Oh, so it's Kerry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She does get a little woo-woo, but that's because she's got all these whistleblowers from every age, every alphabet agency you'd ever want to, it's incredible. But yeah, she does get a little woo-woo sometimes, but otherwise it's really good stuff.
I'd be woo-woo too. I would be ultra woo-woo. Listen, there's an old CIA maxim that says, a paranoid is someone with all the facts. Trust me. She's got a right to be woo-woo, let's put it that way.
Ann, do you have that website by any chance off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's she has a YouTube website, of course, but it's also www.projectcamelot.com. I think it's .com, Frank. Could be wrong, but Project Camelot.
Okay, well, I'll try org too if I don't get through.
Yeah, I think actually, I found better videos of hers on her YouTube Project Camelot site. When I go on her site, it's a little crazy. She's got archives galore, but YouTube's a little bit more direct.
Yeah,
I really hope.
If anyone wants to see past or listen to past episodes of this call, you can go to YouTube and just put in Targeted Massachusetts, and you'll come up with them all. Yeah, I convert them all to YouTube. I can't see leaving them on the site as MP3s. I'd rather convert them to MP4s because they sound much better. They're much more full because they're not actually using the video capacity, but they do sound much more clear, and a lot of the bugs are ironed out through YouTube. But they can be found there. Some of them go back to the beginning of the call when there's 3 people here. But that's great, and some of them are really interesting, I will say, because there were a few topics that came up that were really funny on some of them. But for the most part, we really have done a good job, I think, presenting what is going on and putting the pieces together to the puzzle. That's the tricky part. It's going to be stitching this all together. It's going to be one hell of a scarecrow when we get done, I'll tell you. But we got a lot of work to do, but these pieces, I can't tell you how valuable this Cuban thing is, because we finally got somebody using it. And that's going to propel us into papers and whatnot and publications a lot sooner. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak? It's open mic.
I just want to say good night, guys. I've got to sort of go to bed and get up and get ready for work. So, but I just wanted to poke my nose up. I've at least had 40 minutes of wonderful conversation on here. So I just want to say good day all, and hopefully next Friday or next Wednesday I'll be on for longer. But I just wanted to say good night, guys. I care about you all. Stay safe out there. Keep documenting, or just keep ignoring it. That works sometimes. And
hey, I love that. I love that. You document and you ignore. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Good night, sister.
All right. Good night, and I will see you next time, next Wednesday or next Friday. Good night.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night.
She's very nice. She adds a lot to the conversation, and she brings a lot of interesting viewpoints and solutions and ideas to try. So she's invaluable. She's a very nice person, too. She never really drifts off topic too much. She stays right on topic, and she's very good, like all of you are. People of like mind seem to fall onto this call, and I'm so glad that that's the case, because a lot of the calls that I listen to, I'm not hearing the same direction that we seem to have developed here, and we get right at the point, and take it apart and put it back together again. But it's really nice because we seem to have a unique group here. A lot of them, like Barbara Gillette comes on here, and I'd like to see her come on tonight. But she's been cast off all of the other calls. And some of the other people that come on here have been cast off all of the other calls. You know what the reasoning is? Because they have more valuable information than some of the presenters do. And so they're immediately kicked off the calls and out of groups and out of here and there. But I welcome people that have the information and are willing to spend the time on this call to present the information. And we can look at it and say, okay, this is a logical assumption. Or we can talk together and say, okay, maybe this is very close, but what if we add this to it? But I just wanted to say that I'm very pleased with the people that are on the call and have chosen to be here, and I hope you all stay. And Friday night is kind of a light call for us, but because Linda is coming on at 9 o'clock. But at the same time, this call brings, we'll say, less people, but we have some really interesting conversations. And it's just really great. I'm pleased. I just want to let you know. Would anybody like to speak? Someone's trying to get through. Just take your time. Okay, caller 8 and caller 11 looks like almost got through. But anyway, it's important that we've now got a separation between electronic weapons and I think we have a separation between electronic weapons. Are you trying to get through? Go ahead. You have the floor. Okay. But don't try and talk while I'm trying to talk. Would you like to try again? Okay. Is there anybody else? I'll ask one more time, then I'll continue.
Hi, Frank. This is Sally Ann.
Hi, Sally, and it's so nice to hear your voice. How's things going?
Thank you. Okay. I'm really fighting a depression.
That's not good.
Yeah, I try to get out every day, but I'm very dysfunctional in my house.
You know what? I have some doctor's appointments up your way, and what I will do is I'll keep you abreast of these doctor's appointments, and I'll let you know, and we could have a coffee or something at the
That'd be
nearest
great.
Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah, that'd be great. I really am very concerned because I've gotten some reports off of YouTube of the victims of Hurricane Harvey, to put it mildly, being abused. There seems to be basically a depopulation program going on in Houston.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm very concerned. You know, I say to myself, well, if they're doing this to these people, how long do targeted individuals have before, you know?
Before you are catatonic?
Yeah, eliminated.
We have plenty of time, and the reason being is we unite together. If we were all by ourselves and didn't have anyone to speak with on our own level about what's going on, you'd be shattered. And
That's true.
that's why
now I'm echoing, so there must be a recording going on.
We're recording. We always record the call, but usually that happens when there's a phone and a computer on at the same time. So I'm not hearing the echo here.
Okay. Well, I mean, this Oath Keeper came out of Houston. The authorities were turning people away that were there to help, confiscating their supplies. The people that are going into the shelters are not being allowed to leave. They're like prisoners. And the authorities have done some horrible things down there. I'm afraid to talk about it, actually.
Are they mishandling it?
I don't want to. Well, it's abusive. I mean, the authorities during the rescue part of it were actually hunting people and killing them.
Okay, do you have documentation?
I
video?
I have a video. It says something about FEMA camps. I can't remember what the title of it was, but it was on YouTube, and this Oath Keeper came back reporting what was going on. They actually broke a dam over an area that there was still in Houston. There was a dam. They broke the dam and let the river go, and it was in an area where there were people that still needed to be rescued, and they flooded the area on top of the damage from Harvey, and all the bodies were washed out to sea to feed the sharks.
Okay, if you look at the carnage that happened in Louisiana, I was amazed at the human who has been reduced
Inhuman. Inhuman.
Actually, no, they were good people that were reduced to survival instinct. And unfortunately, when survival instinct takes over like that, and it takes over an entire population of an area, you have the carnage. What they were looking for was FEMA support immediately. Now, Mr. Bush did not get any help to them until some days later. And what we saw there was one person who was killed by rifle fire on a bridge. We had others that managed to make it to the only shelter, I guess, that was available. I'm not sure. I can't remember whether that was a community center or a hospital, but there was utter carnage and murder, rampant. There were rapes. They had the store break-ins. Okay, for survival, I'm going to say that, I'm going with that, because if you are in an area that is inundated with water, or water is coming, and you need an axe to get your wife out of your house, yeah, break in and take the axe. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. Looting is something else, when you go in and just loot a place and take everything there. But when people go into survival mode, this is what happens during wartime, until someone declares martial law. But there were no police there. The one policeman that was there was lackadaisical on his job.
Exactly. They're standing down. They have FEMA down there. They have the National Guard, and it's like they don't care about these people.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't care about the people in the shelters either.
Right.
And they won't let the people in the shelters leave.
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about Cuba and the impact. We've come to the conclusion that we now have a separate weapon from electronic harassment. And this is just, I would call it a sound cannon they used on that embassy. And my reasoning behind that I brought up is because our embassies all over the world now use glass that has gold impregnated in it. The purpose for this is to block out any electronic frequencies. And they're very successful at it, at protecting our diplomats. So, with that in mind, they attacked the embassy with a sound blast. Now, the sound blast is going to penetrate anything and everything in its path, just like the sound blast from an explosion would. I mean, if you hear it in your house, this blast could have gotten you, but it is so wide that it did take out a number of people outside the embassy, in front of the embassy, and behind the embassy. So we're looking at a non-surgical strike by what I would call a sound or acoustic cannon, which I've mentioned that I've also seen demonstrated.
And who did it?
That is not come up yet. There's no, I cannot think of a reason for the Cuban government to do that. I cannot think of a reason for the Americans to create a false flag operation. I think it has to be possibly a third party infiltrated into Cuba, possibly even
Maybe
ISIS.
the Russians?
I don't. Well, that could be. They will learn, and they will have the nation or people, persons responsible very shortly, if not.
Now, were they survivors from that attack?
Yes, there were survivors, but some cannot hear. Others were injured in ways that only could come from a sonic blast like that. And it would be interesting to try and get some names, as I mentioned earlier, of these people that have been attacked and who have been hurt, so that we could present our case to them, because they are, after all, diplomats, our own. And if we can find the names, I'm sure they're listed somewhere, we can send emails to them. We can send certified mail to them, telling them who we are. And we can stretch the truth a little bit. We can say we receive this all the time, which we don't. We don't receive these kind of attacks. This is an attack that could possibly take down a building. Now, as I've said, if you hear a
Well, there's a suspicion that the Twin Towers were taken down that way.
Okay, this is coming from Tesla technology. He could shake a building with the equipment that he built. So this could be something that Tesla created. We're not sure about that. The United States just dropped what I will call an audio blast. I believe it was in Iraq. It was, what do they call, the bomb of bombs or something like that. And all it did was produce a sound wave. And within this sound wave, everything was destroyed. People's ears, everything. So
Yeah.
this could be someone who has taken the smaller version of that, which I imagine takes a lot of electricity to power, or a lot stored in a capacitor, which is more likely.
Well, they're probably doing these things.
Yes.
They're doing these things from submarines, from what I understand. They're using submarines. There's actually evidence that they've used submarines to create these storms.
Okay, I have to be absent for about 2 minutes. I'll be right back. It's open mic. Feel free to talk. Thank you. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. So we're seeing all kinds of things right across the boards that are pointing to freedom. Are you having trouble with audio, caller 11?
Are you talking to me, Frank?
No, Barb, you're up there as Barb.
Oh, okay. Listen, I wanted to ask you, what are you going to do for the conference? Are you getting a room in Boston, or are you going to stay nearby, or are you going to go home? Or
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I have to talk to Allison and see what's going on there. I've been so busy. Uh, she has a couple projects for me to do, and I have not been able to. I started one, and it's advertising, and I have to get back on that because I
I
look at.
wanted to mention to you before I forget is that FedEx is now doing these posters. They'll print a poster up for you for like $5 to $6, starting at $5 to $6. I thought that would be pretty good. I'd like to print up a couple of posters myself. And the other thing was, did you purchase the small audio spotlight yet? Are you going to bring that?
I was planning to. I'm trying to see what I can do with Mike because I inadvertently said that I could give Mike transportation, but I have other things that are obligatory. So I gotta.
He's way upstate New York, right? He's up by
Yeah.
Canada.
So for me to make that trek, I'm right in the middle of doing the brakes on my car right now, doing the front brakes. Other than that, she's all set to go. Doing oil change.
So what does that mean?
I don't think I can do that because I have other obligations that I did not realize. To Allison.
How's he going to get down here? He's very important.
I know he is. We got to figure that out. I still might have to. I don't know, but
I had a car. I'll go get him. You got an extra car or something? I get a license.
yeah.
I'll go get him.
I'm able to. There's somebody that I'm able to pay to go there.
Oh, pay me. I'll go. I'll go free.
Yeah, I know you will, and I know you're a good driver too, probably.
Give me gas money, huh?
Yeah.
I am a good driver.
Well, let me kick that around, and one way or another, Mike is going to be there. I'm going to see to it, and he's invaluable because at this point in time, I need a secretary and two people to work with me. So it's
Doing what?
it's crazy the calls I get, the texts I get. I can't answer from everybody.
To do what? Listen to the whining asses?
No, actually, it's a lot of people with a lot of good suggestions, a lot of people with a lot of good input on what's going on. There's been an influx of new people into the community. And with them, they're not bringing, oh my God, I'm scared. It's, oh my God, I know all about it. We got to get together and come up with a solution. And this is what I'm seeing, and this is getting to be very, very positive. And I have a positive attitude as it is, but this is going like way over on the plus side for us, and I am so pleased. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, because of people like Brian Kaufman and things happening in Cuba. There's other little tinklings happening everywhere, and we've already had 3 go to prison for this, for life. So all these things add up to good. So I'm really pleased.
Okay.
In fact, I'm
So
cloud.
can you designate what to do to these new people? I mean, put them to work on their own ideas, or, I mean, getting Mike to that conference is, I think, he's got to get there.
Okay, well, this is what I'm going to put this out to the New England group.
That's a high priority. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a part of the conference.
Yeah. Well, there was no way that I could pick him up in the location where he was when we went to Washington. We would have been days late. It seems like that's like forever out there. So I know, because we went US 90, which is our turnpike, goes right through there. So on my way back, I got a chance to gauge the mileage. It's incredible. So, but we will see that he gets there. He's a valuable part of the community.
Well, we got to work on this now, because get it solidified.
Okay.
You know, I think the rest of it is, you should kind of put it aside and make him a priority, because that's really important.
I agree.
Telling a lot of
maybe
people, are you telling a lot of people about this conference?
Yes.
All these new
maybe
people
you could
coming
send
in?
them a bus ticket or something like that, Frank.
That might be wise.
He's got the dog though.
What?
Like send them a MBTA ticket or something like that.
That sounds
But
good.
he has the dog.
That doesn't matter. He could be a service dog.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I don't know if that. Yeah.
Sophie's a service dog now. So.
Hey, there's someone coming. There's someone coming down from Canada, and they're going to meet up with Kate. Maybe Mike could catch a ride with that guy from Canada. That's going to go to Kate.
Okay. Now,
What guy?
do you know his name? Is he Igor Malkin?
I don't know his name, but I did mention. I don't know. I'm sure.
Well, why don't
I'm not,
you find out this information and get back to Frank about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll find out from Kate, and then I'll tell Mike, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell me,
And then
because I'm the one.
tell you.
I don't want to come up with, a ride and then have it fall through, because
I hear you, Frank. I understand.
Yeah. If I do what I have to make things happen, and I cannot do that kind of mileage, because I'll be useless at the conference. I have a speech that I'd like to make at the conference. There's a number of things I've been requested to help at the conference, which I will do. Anything that anyone asks of me within reason, I will do. And as far as helping out the conference, I'm even carrying in groceries. So, I mean,
Well, screw the carrying in groceries. Let somebody else do that. Go get Mike.
Yeah, well, the thoughts come up.
That
may be exactly what happens, Barb. But I'm basically putting it out there that Mike needs a ride. That was my original idea. But what I'm saying is, I have obligations. If I have to put a couple aside, that's okay. Mike might have to come here early.
Well, that's good. He can come early.
Yeah. I'm sure that's not a problem finding him a place to stay.
Yeah, he could stay with me.
Well, he could drop him off in Rhode Island with Pete. Is Peter going to this?
Me.
Pete?
I don't know.
Is Peter going?
Peter's going. I think he was going to help out picking up at the airport. I know one person's
Okay.
coming in. His name is Doug. But then Neil, well, I guess I shouldn't say too much.
His name is what? Dutch?
Doug.
Doug. Okay.
And also, Neil is going to fly into Providence. So someone's going to have to stay back Friday night and give him a ride up to Boston.
Okay.
And then we're going to have to get someone to give Mike a ride down. Like, I could maybe go up the weekend before and get Mike, but then he'd have to be down here for a whole week.
I don't think he'd mind. As long as Sophie's all right.
Yeah. But maybe, because if the Canadian guy doesn't work out, I don't know who else from up there is going to come down. I think there's only Luda up there. Luda and Mike are the only ones way up there.
There's another TI in that area.
We haven't heard from in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
You know who we haven't heard from in a while? Did you guys ever hear about Matt from Albany? Remember Matt from Albany? He's like a really good speaker. He spoke well. He was on a couple of calls. I want to say Ella interviewed him. I don't know. But I'm sorry, Frank. I interrupted your thought about somebody up there. There's another guy up there.
If Ella interviewed him, that's not too long ago because she hasn't really been into this that long. So
yeah,
Matt, that rings a bell.
Is he the PhD guy? Is he the PhD guy?
No, I think I've spoken with this guy.
Yeah, he's very well spoken. He's got a family, some kids. I think he's divorced. He takes care of himself. Like he's kind of like a bodybuilder type thing. And he just like dropped off the call. And I think Ella might have interviewed him. Yeah.
All right, we'll have to. I'll call up Ella and find out. Yeah. So anyway, to get back to the meeting. Where the hell were all these people when the Washington meeting was coming up? It was nice and warm then. But forget it. I guess we'll just have to look at that as a bygone water under the bridge. White House under the bridge, which it is anyway. But anyway, the important thing is...
Are you working on next year's trip?
To Washington?
Yeah.
Next year's trip is going to be... I'm flying, and all the stuff is going to get trucked if it happens. So, and, it's going to be real disappointing. And, see, I'm afraid to commit to that much money and have nobody show up. That wasn't a fear of mine because I knew there was going to be at least 103 people there that RSVP'd. But out of that 103... I mean, I couldn't even get in there the first day. The second day, I stood out there passing out flyers in the rain with David Burby and Marilyn O'Connor. We were out in the rain, but we stayed anyway. But we made a statement. That's the important part. We were represented there. There were actually two basic groups, and that we sort of melded into one. And it worked out very shabby. I'm glad that I didn't get the risers. There's a company downtown in D.C. that has the risers and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself the night before, why don't I get risers there and go the rest of the way? But something told me not to, and I'm glad I didn't because they're quite expensive. Already $5,300 in the hole from that trip. So.
Why did it cost you so much?
Advertising here, advertising there, advertising here, gas, transportation. You won't believe the number of things that come up that you have to buy. Like a half a dozen umbrellas for one thing,
You bought a half a dozen umbrellas?
To stand out in the rain.
While you were down there?
Yeah. Second day was downpour.
And I mean, I understand gas
Yeah,
Frank,
I
and a
said,
room.
I have a lot of background noise, so I won't talk long, but I would love to see you put all of your energy and the money into next year's conference.
yeah, okay. Well, we can do that, but see what happened is the New England group has consolidated itself into putting this particular event on. Now, when we were going to Washington, I didn't even get a phone call from anyone. So, uh, it was very disconcerting. I was very upset about it. Not so much then because I didn't think we had the unity, but now that I see unity and hope coming together with all this support, it makes me very sad. It doesn't make me angry. It makes me sad because,
Yeah, but you know something, Frank, you might have set the tone.
yeah,
You might have told these people, you to come together. And even though your trip was what you'd consider a failure, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like I didn't go. To me, it's too far away.
yeah,
Okay. And for some reason, I just getting there was a big problem. Logistics of it. I didn't have a car. A car I would have gone. But
a chartered bus might be the answer next time because uh, as long as you're not doing the driving and you're in a comfortable bus, it might be worth it.
yeah, start that 6 months. You got to buy tickets for this bus 6 months ahead of time. Start selling the tickets. Start advertising, emailing everybody. You got to go on this date to Washington, D.C., blah, blah, blah. A lot of people didn't want to go to D.C. for some reason or other. I don't know why.
Well, it's safe. We proved that. And by the way, there's no electronic dampening around the White House. The same stuff is still there, and I was disappointed at that.
Yeah, it sounded like you had to jump through hoops to do anything, though. Every time you wanted to do something, you had to get a permit for it, right?
Yep. Yep. If you have to take a pee, yeah. Well, there's another $100 and some odd bucks there.
And I think it was like apples and oranges. I think the conference is a totally different animal to your protest. And I think it was like the first of one of our, I just think, I think it, I think the first time you do anything, it's challenging. I'm sorry to hear that
This
it's
is going to
sad.
be
Yeah.
chaotic, too. This is going to be chaos. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. No, I don't think any of us have ever set up a conference or whatever. So I think there's going to be a lot of chaos there.
Yeah. Well, I did set it up myself, and it was all functional, right down to the exact spots. I got Lafayette Park. What more could you ask for? It's right across from the White House. I got the sidewalk right in front of the White House. What more could you ask for? All the tours have that. So I've got the premium spots in Washington, and the permits in December were failed because I called it for targeted individuals. The second set of permits that I sent in were actually a protest against Wi-Fi, not illegal Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi in schools affecting students, which is not a lie because it does. And believe it or not, they're starting to look at that now. Here.
Well, yeah, they've outruled it in Europe. A lot of places in Europe, they've taken it out of schools. I wish they'd do it here.
But
I've spoken out about that a lot of times.
I had it set to the letter. The only thing that I missed was the fact that, okay, I was there at 8 o'clock, okay? I thought that was early enough. Okay, the next day we got there at 4 or 5 in the morning. We were the first car in the parking garage on New York Avenue. So you have to get there early. I mean, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's it. You get there any later than that, you don't get a parking spot. And
I remember that.
I went the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Square roundabout at least 30 times looking for an opening, and there was nothing to be had. So, and no parking garages. So, you know, by the time we drove around there 20 or 30 times, we were like, we had it. So the next day we were there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Of course, no one else
Okay,
was.
listen. I'm worried about Mike. I want Mike to be there.
We'll make
So-
sure he gets there, Barb.
Well, I'm gonna work on that myself.
I
And-
just sent Kate a
I'll-
text asking. Sorry.
Hi,
Go ahead.
caller 14. You keep unmuting, but it's just background noise. If you have something to say, please hop on.
You email Kate what?
I emailed.
Hello?
Who emailed Kate?
That lady that just popped in. Hello? She said she emailed Kate about something. And then she cut out.
That's perp action.
No, that was that woman that was just on. Who was that anyway? That was just talking.
I don't know, but that amazing noise that you just heard came from there.
Oh, I can hear that too.
All this background noise is from there.
Oh. Maybe your phone's messed up.
I think that's probably what it is. Let's just look at it that way. But
Frank, can you?
and would anybody like to add anything? Because the Washington incident I'm calling it, is in the past, and we have unity and hope to look forward to. And that's what I.
Hello. And
Yes.
you're right, Frank. Hello. This is Jacqueline, and hello, everyone. I tuned in late, so and I agree with you. What that's in the past, we just have to learn from our mistakes,
Yep.
so we don't make them again. And things may be a little unorganized, but I don't feel, and it's okay to disagree, but I don't feel that the future events that the committee in Boston has been working diligently on and very well organized. It will be chaotic, and next, I just would like to make an announcement that on Wednesday, September the 27th, on Coast to Coast Radio Show, Michael Bell will be speaking, and the title of the call is "Targeted in a Saga of a Targeted Individual." And again, that's on Wednesday, September the 27th, on Coast to Coast Radio Show. Michael Bell will be speaking about his new book, and the title of the program is "Saga of a Targeted Individual." So I just wanted to make that announcement in case anybody wasn't aware of Coast to Coast Radio Show.
When
So
was
thank
that again? What was the
When,
date?
Wednesday, September the 27th, and I'm on the East Coast. I don't know what the call letters are, if it will be on the AM or FM dial on the radio in different states. But I know here, well, on the East Coast, in some states, it starts at 1 a.m. in the morning. In the mountain states, it starts at 11, and in California, it starts at 10 p.m. So again, that's Wednesday, September the 27th. Michael will be speaking, and the title of the program, Saga of a Targeted Individual. So thank you for letting me announce that.
Okay, I just wanted to, there's a few callers. I'm getting texts from a few callers. If you want to unmute, it's *6. If you want to mute yourself, it's *6. If you're coming in by computer, you can, it's plain as day. I mean, you've got a green phone. If it's an orange phone, you want to hit it and make it a green phone. It's as easy as that. But yeah, there's like quite a few callers doing that, texting in. But where was I? Where were we?
We're talking about Boston, and it's going to be chaotic.
Okay, it's as chaotic as we let it get. Everything that I've ever done in the way of get-togethers, meetings like this, and gatherings, they're all done by the numbers. Everything happens when it's supposed to, and that's the way it has to be. And you allow so much time for, we'll say, bloopers or something like that, but it has to remain on time, like a military, or it's not going to work.
Well, you better tell the women that are running this. I've invited some people who are professionals, and I've also told them this will be our first conference and to expect it to be chaotic, but I would like them to come down. I told them about Mike and the audio spotlight. And I mean, these are legal and medical professionals that I have known for quite a while. So I don't even know if they're going to show up. They haven't told me, but I sent them the flyer. I got an email with the poster in it, and I sent that around. So we'll see, you know.
Right.
I hope it works out.
Yep. Well, it will. All we have to see, the New England group has, through, unfortunately, I'm going to say a name, through Kate, has barred me from the New England group. Now, that's not the case with Allison. I can speak.
I thought you kissed and made up over that.
No. She tried to pin me of wrongdoing twice, and that was enough.
Yeah, she's a bad egg.
Yeah, well, she said that I didn't help somebody in Florida. And as a matter of fact, Derek had already helped that person in Florida and got that person the help that she needed. And that's Sue Babley. And she's currently on my list of people to text. And I text her this call every time that it comes up. So, and the other one was she said that I said that Karen Stewart was suicidal and that I was blocking her from getting help from her husband. Now, those of you who are doubting Thomases, I have screenshots of all these, so, or emails. So anyone who would like a copy, I will gladly send it to you. But you see, when somebody gives me a problem, I go public with it. And I mean public, I mean I post it. You know, I think I posted these emails, but, you know.
Are you sure they were from her?
Oh, yeah, they were from her. Yeah. And the problem is, she goes, oh, well, I made a mistake. It's all done with now. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's fine. And then the next one came along, and she was clearly trying to pick me apart. And I'm the last guy that wants to cause anybody any problems. I'm on the plus side, the I want to help you side, you know. So I'm barred from the New England group because of Kate Ryan and her boyfriend.
It's no big deal. It's no big deal, Frank. Really.
I know.
She's barred me from, 3 calls?
Yeah, but she has no idea what the ramifications of that to her are. If I'd rather, well, never mind. I'm not going to go into it because I think Kate Ryan works very hard for the cause, and I'm not going to, throw her in the gutter for any reason because she doesn't deserve it. What she's got to do is be more careful about core people that are trying to help. We all have to work together is what it amounts to. Now,
Yeah.
she's forsaking.
Sounds familiar. I've been through it 3 times with her.
Yeah, she's forsaking whatever I can do to help the Boston gathering because of her little spat, which is exactly what it was to me. And I just didn't appreciate it, and that's as far as I'm going to say. She works very hard for the movement somewhere. I'm not seeing it. So, you know, I don't go to the beach, and that's not an insult, but when I go to a meeting, okay, I expect business to be handled on a table, open books, notes, after the meeting. Then you go to the beach. You just don't, I mean, you know, go to the beach all summer. What's that doing? Getting your feet wet. Sorry, that's the way I feel.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I didn't go back to the meetings. I wasn't planning on going to the beach. I wasn't planning on going camping. I really didn't give a shit about either one, and the people that I wasn't crazy enough to go. Oh, by the way, after you told me that she kicked you off the call, I
Yeah,
went and I kicked Peter off everything. He used to
yeah,
come into my residence,
yeah.
and he used to come into he was on my messenger, so I booted him off both, and he got mad at me. That's why he was mad at me. Um, was he on this call talking a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago?
Yeah, well, see what Kate did is all the alerts for the gathering in Boston are coming through Kate.
Right. She's
Okay,
a control freak.
she sends me no email, so I'm blocked from the email. I'm blocked from the group. As far as I know, I'm blocked from Peter too. Let me get my violin out, okay? All right, what they are doing is they're blocking themselves off from my resources. And that's what they're doing. So they're going to try and hurt Allison by blocking me out? I don't think so. I'm going to help Allison all I can. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm in this for the TIs. Put your differences aside. This is about targeted people. It's not about little spats. Okay?
That had to do with Derek, didn't it?
No, it didn't actually. No.
It didn't? I thought it did. I thought that's how it
Well,
started.
every time that Kate didn't like what I was doing, she went and tattled to Derek. And there are a couple other people that I'm not going to mention that went and tattled to Derek. So I texted Derek for about 2 days, and I had 2 inches, 2 feet of texts. And I finally said, well, after some other unfortunate incidents that happened, I resigned from there. And that was due principally to Kate and her false accusations. So, that this is really getting me because the biggest thing I say is don't wash, laundry like this on the show, because this show is about TIs and their problems. And this is something that is my problem. It's not anyone else's problem, but my problem and Kate's problem. And she has to live with this now. So, so be it. But I'm for you guys. So who wants to speak next?
Well, Kate did it to me, so I understand where you're going with it and what happened.
I shouldn't
She did
be.
it to me on 3 calls, the technology call on Wednesday, the technology call on Friday, and she did it on Derek's call, and Derek went along with it. He'll always go along with Kate for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank,
Yes, sir.
can you tell us who's going to this conference, like speaker wise, and who's just sending in videos?
I will find out from Allison. Allison is really a super person. I've met her once at Peters, and she is fantastic. She is very outgoing. She's very reserved. So she's a very interesting person, and I will say that she is fantastic for this organization.
How about yourself? You're going to be speaking there,
Yes,
right?
I will be speaking, yes. And I don't know who else is going right now because I'm not provided that information. I'm not provided any information. Now, as far as advertising goes, I advertise all over the world. So they're missing all of my advertising. They're missing all of my resources. You know, I've sent money to TIs that didn't have cable. Internet access, so they wouldn't be isolated. I mean, I have presented cases to the New England group, and the New England group has kicked in a few bucks in the past and sent some money out to TIs. And this is what I do. I work for and with TIs. I work for TIs. Okay, that's why I'm here. I'm heavily targeted, but I am very strong-minded, and it's hard for them to get a hold of me. So that's why I'm able to do this, and I'm getting stronger all the time. So I need your help to get these people to drop their petty differences and join the movement. It's like parts of the United States Army that will not talk to each other. Well, guess what? The generals snap them up into line. You know?
Not possible.
What's that?
It's not possible. I was going to say everything that you just said about Kate confirms my view that women were not meant to be in charge.
That women were not what? That women were not what?
We're not. God didn't intend for most women to be in charge. I'm sorry. Everything that you said about
What?
I don't go along with that.
Just say what I believe.
Okay.
I think
Well-
what you mean. I think what you're saying, Frank, is we got to stop fighting amongst ourselves and just get together no matter what, right?
Thank you. I don't care whether you've had well, that might prevent it. I was going to say I don't care whether you've had a fist fight with somebody, but what I'm going to say is this is for us as a unit.
The good of the community.
Right, and everybody has to drop all their petty differences and put them away and start working. Now, I am eager to work on this New England gathering. Allison's given me a couple of jobs. I'm just getting to them now. I started one, but you know, I'm a worker. I stay on these calls. I gather information. I give the information back to the masses in emails, text, and through these calls. And I can't wait to help somebody. That's the best thing for me to do. I mean, that's.
There's a question to the choir, Frank. I don't think.
You're not coming in, hon. Caller 19, you're not coming in.
Oh, I didn't know what color was.
Okay, you got it now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, you're in the choir. I don't think the people you're talking about can other pay stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I found that I don't care what I have to say people like, but that's most women.
Yeah.
What?
Barb, can you take over the call for just 1 minute?
Well, yeah.
Or just sort of. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah. What did you say?
I
Who
have
is
a
the
phone-
lady that
I
was
have a-
just?
I have a phone call. Just, do what
Yeah.
you do. Okay, thanks.
Do what I do.
Right back.
What was the lady saying? You came through very muffled. So if you want to say it again, see if you can get it more clear so I can retort. Hi, Lloyd. I like your striped shirt. Hi, Lloyd.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if you guys can hear me because I was trying to ask a question before. I had forgotten now. Who's this, Sally Ann?
No, this is Memoir.
Oh, okay. This is Marilyn from Rhode Island.
Okay. What was the question?
Nothing, hon. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. Well,
Problem
let's
with my
see.
cell phone being muted and muting.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I'm trying. Oh, Karen Stewart had friends in India. One was a pastor, and she got together with a bunch of pastors here, and they invited him to come to this country. He had a friend who was friends with President Trump. So this pastor from India bought a round trip ticket, he said, flew into, I guess, Washington, D.C., and he was incarcerated, and they held him at the airport. They held him for, I guess, a couple of days, and then they threw him on a plane and flew him out of the country. He was diabetic. They didn't feed him. He almost died, and he was in pretty bad shape when he got back to India. And I kept telling them, you know, they're going to do stuff like that. They don't want a pastor and his friends going to Trump. And he was going to talk about targeted individuals. I guess he had made inroads with Karen, and he believed her. So that's what happened with that. That just happened yesterday, I guess, or last week. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
Well, they hustled his little butt back to India real quick. They didn't even let him get out of the airport.
Really?
Yeah. He almost died. They didn't feed him. He was diabetic. He was in bad shape when he flew out. And he was a prayer warrior, whatever that is. And I guess he was going to get together with a whole bunch of other pastors in the U.S. and get there was one of the pastors was friends with Trump, and they were all going to go visit Trump and talk to him about targeted individuals. And
wow,
he never got out of the airport. You didn't know about that?
I heard bits and pieces of that. Yes, I did.
Well, what happened?
I don't know, but you see, something has gotten loose from the government into private hands that the government does not want to hear about, okay, because it should have never gotten this far. And that's what's going on.
That story's written on everydayconcern.net.
Right, that's Ramola's site. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's also on YouTube.
Romola seems to be very much to herself. I have tried many times to contact her with little success. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. So she's incommunicado, and
he's on Messenger.
Is he? Who's Messenger? Which one?
She's on Messenger.
What, in Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
Okay. All right, and Dr. Horton seems to be very much to herself, except for her videos.
Right.
She doesn't seem to circulate around the community at all.
No, she's been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah,
She like goes from country to country. She's working on a court case with this other woman.
I see.
And she's been doing a lot of her own work in Switzerland, Sweden, wherever she is. She's been working very hard with, I forget the woman's name. It's German and I can't pronounce it. I'm not very good at it.
Okay. And Karen's got a petition out. I hope you guys have all signed it. I have. Karen Stewart.
Yeah, I signed that myself.
Yeah, that's a good petition. She's a very solid individual. She's got a lot going for her, and she's definitely an asset to the movement. I have heard.
Well, she's the one who started this pastor from India. She's the one who she made friends with them, a couple of them in India.
Yeah, she has no advantage at all either, other than her drive. She is a very driven person against this, and she is somebody to align yourself with. And if you can get an email to her or text her or speak with her, she is a breath of fresh air. She really is. She's wonderful.
She's on Facebook Messenger too.
Yep. I have her personal cell too, and we gab back and forth every once in a while. There's a lot going on within the community, and it's all good stuff, and it's great to hear for a change. There's been so many bad things because there was FFCHS, and everybody was listening to that, and everybody was getting on there, and all of a sudden it just fell. You know, that was.
I think it was a good thing, Frank.
Yeah.
Quite. You know why?
Why is that?
Because Ella came out of that. I think Ella was much more professional.
Yeah.
She had it together. Her calls brought in a lot of very well educated people, a lot of people who spoke eloquently, who knew what they were doing. I think that FFCHS falling apart was a good thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed being a guest on her show because she follows the guests, and she'll let the guests talk, but she'll want to get involved, you know, and that's where she helps. Very, very, very good moderator, very good individual.
Well, see, up until that time, when FFCHS fell apart, Derek had a lock on everything. Everybody went to his call. Everybody looked at him. You know, he was the main person. And when FFCHS fell apart, that kind of unlocked that and opened the door for a lot of other people, like Linda's call and your call and Mike's call. You know, I don't think any of these would have existed if that didn't fall apart, because Derek had every night a call. You know that, don't you?
Oh, yes. And then marathons on holidays, which I approve of, though. I think that the next holiday that comes up, I'm going to do a marathon.
I mean, Joe Dixon was a joke. I was glad to see him go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's important that we all stick together and form groups. And Terry's not on here, I don't think, tonight, but he should be in the future just in charge of the public. I mean, all over the country, he should be doing the public routine, because, you know, public relations are everything. And he should appoint his own public relations, his own PR people all across the country, and to report back to him. That's ideally the way everything should be done. There should be central people that, not a governing, but sort of like a governing body, but just, hey, did you get that done? You know what I'm trying to say? Not a president or anything like that, but just people that you can look to for advice on how to do something or how to put it together, and that would be Terry, you know, we'll say. And so Terry handles PR.
Yeah.
So we need people that are recognized as being savvy in one in particular area or another. And it's important that we realize that. Right now, it's seems to be. See, I don't have an ego. At least I haven't found it yet. But it seems to be ego-driven lately, and that's what will kill any organization, is egos within, because they can be nasty. It's the green eyes, you know. So they don't help ever. Oh, there goes somebody. But as for forming groups, we're trying to form another group here in New England, and I've dug out some old literature that I actually got, strangely enough, from MSN by accident. A lot of old phone numbers and stuff, and I'm getting in touch with a lot of other TIs, and then we can meet with Kate's group possibly. So there won't be problems, because there'll be two organizations. And there are no fences. Karen brought that up, Karen Stewart. She said there are no fences. Everybody can go wherever they want to go. And, you know, it's not a competition. It's a fight against the perps. So once everybody figures that out again, we'll be all right. And I think, Barbara, you're right about FFCHS in every way. And it did open up the doors for a lot of new things and a lot of new ideas.
It's all Derek did was let all the crazies in. Not all the crazies in, but he let all, you know, okay, we're not going to go far talking about aliens or lizard people or super soldiers and all that crap. And he used to let people get on there for hours and just go and go and go and go. Nothing was done. And if it was done, it was sabotaged in one way or the other. This went on for years. And frankly, I was very glad when the damn thing fell apart. I was very glad when it disappeared. It got off the scene. People started to look around and decide, you know, maybe that wasn't a good thing after all. It was fun at times. I did have fun on there. I used to go in the chat and meet people that I knew, that I still know, for years, and got to know. We used to talk till the sun come up, from 9 o'clock till the sun come up, and had a wonderful time. But as far as getting anything done, that's one of the reasons why I left his call. I used to get in chat, and I'd say, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why can't we do this as far as working toward doing something to solve this problem? And he started muting me. That's why I think Christine was thrown out of his call and Kate's call, because she also wanted something to get done. There were a couple of other women too. For instance, Derek and Joe Dixon backed Greg Gamache. And Greg Gamache was a big scam artist. Oh, I have a lawyer, don't send any money, and then it would turn into send money, blah, blah, blah. It was bullshit.
Yeah,
Can I ask why you're talking about all of this? What happened?
we're trying to get away from it. And
Because I'm
What
pissed
brought it
about
up?
I can talk about it. Why?
No, I'm just asking. Where is the divide now?
yeah,
With what?
we should wind it up, Barb. That's what I was trying to say. I don't like to air any kind of laundry on the show because it prevents people from voicing a concern they have or a topic concerning targeting, which is what we're supposed to be talking about. But yes, let's end that. And
What brought it up?
What?
Did something happen? Like, what brought it all up?
So what? You can still talk about the history of it and how bad it was and how glad I am
But
that
you shouldn't talk
FFCA
about people that aren't on there to stand up for themselves. We always
bullshit. FFCHS.
no.
It's
not
disbanding
nice to do this.
was a good thing. The FFCHS falling apart was a good thing.
Derek will agree with you.
Well, yeah, and I think where their strengths were, they're trying to do it now. You know, I mean,
Yeah, he's being forced to
talk
do
about
it.
people getting kicked off of people's calls and stuff. I mean, don't go there. You know,
Why?
don't go there
Why?
because nobody likes the gossiper. That's why. I mean, just don't go there. It's in the
not
past and it's
gossip.
gone.
It's not
Done.
gossip. It's not gossip. She has a tendency to do that to a lot of people.
Who does?
Kate. She likes to throw people off calls.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but
Well, then shut up.
don't tell me to shut up.
Well, then don't get on here and criticize me because that's what I was talking about.
No, I'm just saying.
Well,
It's
just
really
don't-
rude, you know?
It isn't rude.
It is rude.
The
Telling somebody to
history-
shut up isn't rude. Give me a break.
The
I'm
history
sorry you're
of
having
these
such a bad
calls-
day like all of us.
The history of these calls and the scams that went along with them, people should know they have to be very, very careful who they give their money to on these calls because there's a lot
so
of
that's
people
why
out
this
there.
got brought up. That was my question.
What?
Someone is looking for money. Is that why this got brought up? Like, I got on late.
Would you like me to tell you why this was brought up? Because we
I would.
were discussing.
But I'm in the dark.
Excuse me?
I'm in the dark.
Okay, well, I'm about to turn the light on. Okay, because of two tiffs that I had with Kate, Kate has blocked all communication, including email, telephone, texts, and so forth about the New England gathering to me. So I get it before she gets it. How's that? So it's not a problem to me. It's just that what I've tried to say in the last 20 minutes, this hasn't comprised the whole call, by the way, is that we should all forget our petty differences and work as one unit as TIs against the common enemy and forget about, and that's what that was all about. And Barbara,
Well, tell her that. Tell Kate that.
Barbara was just voicing her views on it, and that's fine. You can voice your views, and you have, and we all respect you for
I
that.
just don't like to talk about people
Oh,
on the call because
so
there's always
don't.
two sides to
don't.
every story, you know?
So don't
people
talk.
that don't
But
know
I
about
know.
the issues firsthand, they don't know. You know, there's always two sides to every story. Is all
I
I'm
know
saying.
what happened.
So,
to me.
I know both
I know what
sides of
happened
the
to me. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So, ma'am, with all due respect, you don't know either side. So I don't think you should really come in and
I do know one side, but I don't understand why it's even happening. You know, there's a lot of different people with a lot of different personalities, and it's hard.
Well, let me
to deal
tell
with
you
each other
straight up,
sometimes.
we have a couple of people Now, I've got nothing against these people, but we have a couple of people that are alcoholics. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. And end statement. I'm not saying who they are or where they are. It doesn't matter. They're alcoholics and they get smashed. All right? That's all I'm going to say. Okay? You
Well,
can
I
add
don't
to that.
understand what that has to do with anything.
Well, sometimes when people overly drink, they say and text and write emails that they don't really mean. Okay?
All right, I don't want to know.
Good. I want to
want to know.
forget. How's that?
Yeah,
But anyway, to
yeah,
everybody, this isn't an adversarial type meeting. That I
yeah.
consider every one of you as brothers and sisters, and I want to get off this topic, and I've been trying to get off it and trying to get off it, and I thought we were, and but I'd like to get back to what we were speaking about, and that is the events that happened in Cuba. I consider a big asset to the movement because that is the first
Yeah.
public viewing of an attack using a directed energy weapon. Now, it's not an electronic weapon that we know of, but it is an acoustic weapon that has
What about
wiped.
that guy last week on the other day on your call said that was fake? He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. What did you think of that?
I don't buy that at all. He was trying to say that it wasn't fake and that it did happen, but it didn't happen at the hands of the Cubans. Now, that's a statement, an unfounded statement that was actually made with no source. If you have a source and you have source information, it's great. But if you don't have a source, your information is coming from you. And if you present a story to a newspaper or a magazine or a radio show, you have to have a source for the information so they can check it, or else you won't be allowed to present it. And that's the way they run that. But he didn't have any source material. That just came right out of the air.
No, he said because of his experience. I guess he was he said, I don't know if he said he was a physics person or
He was actually, he worked for the Carter administration and the Bush administration.
there you go.
So, but he didn't have anything to do with this. He doesn't have the clearance anymore. You're debriefed, you lose your clearance. It's not like he has communication, unless he's got a friend that they talk to every day, that he talks to every day. But what I'm going to say is that I think that was possibly even somebody from ISIS that got in there. They can seep in anywhere and seep back out again. So I'd have to say that the perpetrator of that particular crime will, until presented, will go on unknown. Then when they come up with a perpetrator, we can judge whether they are in fact correct or not. Same as WTC. I mean, they told us what happened, and then we learned what was correct. I mean, the minute I saw those buildings fall, I knew that it was a controlled explosion because you can't drop two towers that are that tall in their own footprint without pre-planning and pre-detonation placing. So that's all I'll say about that.
Oh, that's so funny.
So they told us what happened, and then we learned what happened.
I read the book. Did you read the book?
No, I haven't. I have my own theory on that. WCTC was built during the Cold War, and President Kennedy and President Johnson, they weren't worried about it, but they planned for the event of a takeover, a hostile takeover, and they viewed, okay, the enemy as being in the World Trade Center, okay, take it from there. And so the building was built of pre-stressed concrete. Now, explosives could have been planned and inserted in those pieces of pre-stressed concrete all the way up to the top. And it could have been a fail-safe system. Now, I think when the plane hit the building, it started that sequence. So as soon as it went from the South Tower to the North Tower and then G3, they stopped it. But I think that sequence runs all through New York. And I think the idea was, okay, you're going to come over here and take over the United States, you're not getting New York. But that's just my view, you know. A lot of people have called me up on it and talked at length about it, but that's my view. Anybody like to give their view about something?
I want to talk about Kate.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you know, like I said, she has an affinity to throw people off calls. And I think that this causes a great deal of harm. I think that this community, the people here are very vulnerable, and we are all isolated. And when you're isolated, you're very vulnerable to harm, not only from others, but from yourself. And I think to throw someone out of a call is a horrendous act of violence against the person, because if that person does not have a infrastructure to support them like you do, Frank, they can get into a lot of trouble. And past history of these calls, people have gotten into trouble because of that. That's why I used to get so mad at other people who ran these calls, who used to throw people out of these calls. So that's all I have to say about that. And I think that was Mary that might have been calling in. She's from Rhode Island, maybe that was her. If she doesn't like what I have to say, too bad. I have a right to bring that up. I know all about that history. I was part of it. I was right there when it all happened. And I used to get infuriated. When I first became a target, I was cheated out of thousands of dollars by scam artists who attacked my vulnerability as a target and took well advantage of it. So when I saw the same thing happening on FFCHS, and Joe Dixon's call, and they were backing him, I got bullshit. And that was another reason why they threw me up the calls, because I got furious about it. And several other women did too, and we investigated it and found out that the attorney that was supposedly helping TIs had never heard of the target, who had stated that this attorney was working with him on this case. Court, what do you call it? A whole bunch of people go to court, and they just found out it was a big scam. So that's my feelings about it. I don't like when people get cheated out of money.
No, that's been going on a lot too. What I don't like to see is people coming up with electronic devices for thousands of dollars and
not work.
Either not work or be totally outrageous in the price. Now, I'm not going to even mention any names. There's certain individuals out there in providing medical services and electronic services that are overcharging TIs. And the
Like
sick
that
thing,
Q-Wave.
that's one of them, yeah. And but this medical knowledge that this one person has can be spread to TIs, but she won't spread it because she'll lose the money. So
Right.
I think you know who I'm talking about, but it's
Yeah.
all too much money. They're making
Yep.
off TIs. The only person they can make it off of is a TI, and TIs don't have that kind of dough.
Nope, we don't.
Well, they're looking for it. They're looking for it, and if you're desperate, you know, people have sold their homes out of desperation to give it to these people who say they can make this go away. I know I lost my life savings to two guys who said that they could make this go away. I had no idea what I was dealing with. Handed it right over cash.
Hello?
And that bullshits me. That infuriates me.
Is that
It
Angel?
pisses me off even this day. I think
Hello?
that was Joe.
Go ahead, sir.
That Joe.
Yeah, I believe I could never in my life imagine making a single penny off of someone who is victimized if I know how to help them. That's all I got to say.
Well, there's a lot of people in this community who will take advantage of it. You know. And I'm not just talking about you and me. I'm talking about leaders in this, so-called leaders in this community too. And I'm not mentioning you, Frank. That exclude you.
Yep.
But other people that I've run into in the past, they'll be more than glad to put their hand out. You know, when T.I. had his mother die, and then he turned around and he asked everybody for money. And I thought that was very strange. You know?
Yeah. So do I.
Your mother
Sounds strange to me.
Well, your mother died. Okay, so, okay. What can I say? You know? So, he even did a page go there, GoFundMe thing.
Yeah.
I had other TIs that come on here with devices that don't work with poop. There was a Q-Wave thing that was popular at one time. And these people, huh?
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You know, there's other people who offer stuff that get cheated. I'm really mad about all of it, you know?
Well, if you're talking about, because you all have been very nice in not naming names, I'm just going to say, and this is Sandra in New Hampshire, I have been on record, first of all, for having some issues with Robert Duncan. That's one person. Because, as the gentleman said previously, to try and make money off of this thing, knowing how bad it is pretty reprehensible. So here's a guy who claims that he's worked on this crap, and he's suddenly seen the light, and he goes and writes a couple of books and blah, blah, blah. But when you question him, as I have done and others have done, with very specific questions on Facebook, because that's the only way I know to reach him, he clams up like a shell.
Yep.
So I just think he's a bullshit artist, frankly.
Yep. I've long thought that.
I'll tell you something about that same situation, Sandy and Barb. he was on Facebook and he had, he called it the basic setup of this device that he was going to sell to the public. And it showed 3 distinct circuit boards that I recognized. And I punched the names in, Googled those circuit boards. Guess what I got? 3 pictures of his circuit boards. So I presented them. I just put one in and hit enter, and it came up, and there was a little silence. Then I put another circuit board in and hit enter. That circuit board came up. Then I put the last one in there, and he was very angry and came on and said, well, you know, we have to use, sometimes we have to use equipment made by other people, you know. Then I just put in there, well, geez, none of it's got your hand on it. It's all made by other people.
Yeah.
I just random, first pick right off of Google.
If he was the person with the knowledge and the background that he's claiming to be, he should have had, I mean, Jesus Christ, Ray Charles, dead and gone, could have seen where this is going to go at some point with this type of technology. It wouldn't take a rocket scientist to see that this type of technology mixed with people of no good human nature and decency, where it would go. So, you know, that's why I do give some props to Elizabeth Rauscher, because she was approached on more than one occasion to work with this type of technology. And she said no. And she worked for the DOD, she worked for NASA, a lot of other alphabet agencies, and she said no, she wasn't going to do it because she realized what this could lead to. And as a consequence of her saying no, she lost all of her work that she was doing with these various agencies, and she was threatened, I believe she said, on the steps of the Capitol with a weapon because she wouldn't play. So
well,
I just think that Duncan is, I don't even think he is the person who worked on this crap named Robert Duncan. I think he's a con.
Right, I think so
that's
too.
That's basically where I'm at with him. And then that's things with Staninger. I've never had any type of, you know, dealings with her by phone or in person or anything else, but it doesn't pass the smell test to me, you know, and she's got people running to her like she's going to be. I saw and I told Frank this, that somebody had their scan up on Derek's site, and I looked at it, and down the bottom of it, she had signed it, and I can't remember, Frank, exactly what I mentioned, but I think under her signature was like certified hypnotherapist or something like that. And I haven't looked at that in a little bit, so I don't know if it's still up there, but somebody's scan that she had done was up on that site. And I had that conversation. I was like, she's a hypnotherapist, you know.
She's not.
So,
right. She's a toxicologist.
Looked
she's
at.
a what?
Toxicologist.
She's a toxicologist. Well, that's still a different discipline than trying to locate possible implants in someone's body. That's a toxicology is a different medical discipline than using radiological scans in order to locate foreign bodies in someone's body, as far as I know. So, people
She
can
doesn't
hold
scan.
themselves out there. People can hold themselves out there as anything they want. But my thing is, if I had the knowledge and if I had the equipment to help people in that way, if they had that problem, I wouldn't be charging them for it.
Right.
And that's just me. She has every right to do what she wants to do. I'm just saying, this is a bunch of bullshit going on. And people are buying into it because they're hurting. And people need to stop and think about what the hell is going on.
I agree.
They have to make a living. They have to pay their bills too.
They don't have to pay their bills. Okay, if you scan somebody and you have a meter in your hand that's worth $400, and you scan somebody and you charge them $1,600, is that a ripoff? Yes, ma'am. That is a ripoff. Sorry.
But you know what,
Not only
Frank? I
that-
mean, I agree with you. Melinda's a bit high. Dr. Staninger is not. But
bit high.
Melinda does more than that RF meter scan. She does like 5 different scans. So, I mean, I still think it's inflated. I didn't like having to pay it, but I did. And in some respects, I'm glad I did because, I just received a wealth of information.
What did you learn?
Okay, but is any of that
good in court?
Proof that could, that you can take into a court of law.
Really? Yes. And Dr. Kolb told me that Melinda Kidder's scan holds up very well in court.
Who said that?
That's not true.
Dr. Susan Kolb, Kolb. That's what she told me. Yes.
Okay, and who is she?
She's a physician that helps targeted individuals. She's here in Atlanta. And she's the one that does the surgical removal because she's a plastic surgeon. She does the surgical removal of those, those chips.
Well, if
never won a court case.
If this is admissible in court, why aren't those who have had these things done and or had actual chips removed, filing amicus briefs left and right with that proof to go into court?
We're waiting. I mean, some of us are waiting with Mr. Dibble. That's where all my information is. I'm hoping he's going to do something. If not, I'll have to switch to another attorney.
I heard Kolb stopped taking patients. Kolb doesn't take patients anymore. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
Excellent. I just want to take my implants out.
When you go to court, excuse me, when you go to court, they check the background and education of individuals. And there will be a big surprise there. I'm not even going to go any further.
Right?
Well, not
what are you talking about?
Why are people waiting? If you have proof that can be presented in court, what are you waiting for? You can file an amicus brief and ride that thing in the court if you've got absolute proof.
Right.
Well, the only thing I'm waiting for are to have my searches done. And with your searches, you can find out who's doing it to you. And so Dr. Staninger does that. That's the last step for me, but that costs like $1,200. And then you get a list based on those frequencies that Melinda Kidder found. You get a list of what contractors, defense contractors, are actually doing this to you.
Okay.
And so then I could probably walk into a court, but I'm just going to let the attorneys handle it.
Did you educate your attorneys? Because you can go into court with the best attorney in the land. If he is not familiar with your case profile in terms of what it's all about, the attorney is going to be useless. He has to be well versed. He has to know targeting inside and out. He has to know electronic targeting inside and out. He has to know.
Dibble does.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It does.
You do
I've
know
got
that when you're scanned, you have to be in a Faraday cage. You know that.
Oh, I didn't. She didn't scan me in a Faraday cage. No.
I know. She
But I
doesn't
understand
scan
that our bodies,
anybody in a Faraday cage.
yeah, our
That's
bodies
what
still emit
we are.
signals even in a Faraday cage.
All right, let me tell you something right now, okay? They say that one of the things you have to do, and I've mentioned it in the past, but I've since learned a lot. Okay, they say that you measure the frequencies that are there before you arrive, and then measure the frequencies there after you arrive. But the frequencies that are bothering you are already there because they're broadcast. Okay, it's just like you are an FM radio. The signal is already there. Okay, and the thing that charges your chip are radio frequencies. There is a small copper coil connected to a capacitor, which is the battery for that chip. As soon as the capacitor unloads and the chip has used all of the electricity in there, it then recharges as any capacitor would. And that's how the chip functions. So a friend of mine went to one of these individuals to be scanned, and they said to him that, oh, you don't have any chips. That's it. And he walked out, and he got a $1,600 bill for it. He went to another one. I saw the report. It was an inch thick. Unfortunately, there were only 2 pages dedicated to what was wrong with this individual, or what actually the elements that had been picked up. One of them was lead. The second one was tritium. I don't remember the third one, but I can go to the doctor and get checked for lead. These other 2 chemicals, it didn't say what they related to or how they worked. So, out of an inch thick report, actually only 1 page was dedicated, 3 lines were dedicated to what was found, and the other page was a cover page with his name on it. So that's what I have to say about that for $1,650.
Wow.
Melinda Kidder's report is like 25 pages. And I have a question, Frank. I thought that those frequencies that she printed out on my report, I thought that those represented the drones, because this is what she said to me. She said, I want you to know that I picked up frequencies that were not here before you arrived, and I expect them to be gone after you leave. So I thought that those represented those drones or satellites.
Okay, well, if there is a satellite network that's doing this, when I drive across the country, it switches from one satellite to another then. Because I have driven everywhere, and the same V2S people and the same signals follow me with little or no gaps. If you went in certain areas, that it would become less. But for all these miles, nothing really changed too much. So I ended up in the hospital in Pennsylvania anyway. So it doesn't really faze me too much. I have not seen any drones. I've seen people point at drones, and they're actually stars. And what I tell people with drones, okay, some of these could be drones, all right? I approach it that way. And I say, get a star chart of this area and superimpose it over a picture that you have taken and see if they match, and see if the same star is there or if that star or drone is not there anymore. That's the only way you can do something that is projecting light towards you. A government drone is painted with material so that it is going to absorb light, not reflect it. So there's a lot of conflicting stuff about these drones. I haven't seen any. I'm not saying they don't exist, because I have a lot of reports from TI saying that they do exist. I haven't seen one.
Well, I can tell you that they
I
absolutely
promise you
do
they
exist.
exist. I promise you they exist. Oh my God.
Yes,
And they
yes.
are weaponized. And Dr. Staniger said that those drones deliver the medication.
What medication,
So
man?
when you have that
Medication.
Frank, oh yes. Well, I call them poisons because I didn't agree to take any darn medicine. You're poisoning me.
Right.
But as I said before on the calls, chemotherapy drugs, arsenic, Adrian had cyanide. I mean, so many chemotherapy drugs in those of us who have been tested by Dr. Staniger. They are doing cancer studies on us, and they can beam, Frank, they can beam that medication right into our nostrils.
May I interrupt, please?
Yes.
The first thing you do when you do a toxicology study is what, ma'am? Well, let me tell you. It's examine where the person lives. They take air samples from the apartment. They take water samples. It doesn't end with you going to a doctor and having all these samples taken and finding all these things. Okay, you could have got arsenic anywhere at home. There are so many things.
No. But it's consistent with what I'm reporting. It's consistent with the fact that I feel it go up my nose, that I feel toxic when they do it, that they're hitting me with the weapons. Now, I understand the arsenic. Nathan, who's a TI in Phoenix, he said that they use the arsenic to help make their technologies work. But a TI, Adrian, who gets the V2K, she said one of them told her the reason for the pesticides is because they kill rats. So, Frank, I promise you the drones exist. I promise you they're weaponized, and I promise you that they poison us too.
Now, why are they giving you chemo?
Because they are trying to test cancer drugs on us or something. See, the pharmaceutical companies are also involved. They don't want to wait for, the DEA or whatever that approval process is. So, they're involved in this. Pharmaceutical companies, weapons industries, surveillance industries. We're being trafficked. We're like slaves. We're being human trafficking. We're being sold to the highest bidder. Oh, I've got an African-American female, such and such age. Would you like to try this cancer thing on her? We're all being human trafficked in one way or the other.
I certainly believe you.
I do too.
I do. I certainly believe you.
Sad but true. This is not just to harass us. This is a moneymaker, and they are testing stuff on us without our consent. They are experimenting on us without our consent.
Can I ask you a question? Or actually, it is with the laws of physics on this planet. So far, it's not possible to transmit a chemical by radio wave. Okay?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is, Frank.
Show me the proof.
Yes, it is.
Source, please.
Frank,
yes.
Source.
One day I was sitting in traffic.
Source.
One day I was sitting in traffic, Frank. I was sitting in, well, first of all, call Dr. Staniger. She'll tell you.
I would like that. Can you give me her number, please?
I experienced myself.
Frank, I was sitting in traffic one day, and, they gas me all the time. Like today, they were especially brutal. 100 times they gassed me. It's forced inhalation. I can feel it like expanding my lungs. Okay, so one day I was sitting in traffic, and two big white drops, about the size of like a silver dollar, dropped on my windshield, and then one on the side of my door. So their drone evidently that day was overfilled or it was malfunctioning. and that pesticide crap dropped on my car. It's amazing. It's science fiction, but it's happening.
Right.
God is my
Okay.
witness.
Oh, I'm not doubting you. I'm just telling you the laws of physics. Somebody's
Well,
dropping
and
it
then
out. Somebody is dropping a chemical out of a plane or a drone then. It's
did
not
you
being
They're
delivered.
shooting
did you
it.
ever wait a minute. Did you ever go to boot camp, Frank?
No, I
Okay.
skipped over.
When I went to boot camp, they line the boots up right in a line, and you pull your shirt up over your sleeve. And what they do is they take these high-powered guns with air, and they fill them full of certain shots. And because every Navy person, every military person that goes to boot camp, they don't know where they're going to send them, so they have to fill them full of all these shots so that they can send them anywhere in the world. All right? Prevent disease. So we get these shots in our arms, both sides, and it's done with air. Now, what they've done with this technology, is instead of doing it for touching us, they can, as with Wi-Fi and the rest of the crap, they can do it from distance. That's all.
Yep. She's absolutely right.
Frank, I just
have
wanted to
Dr.
add,
Sanders' number.
please, let me say something. I went to get into this meeting, and before I even went into it, it was already on Global Meeting, and there was someone like staring at me on the phone. I better like undo a few apps. So anyway,
It's very
I'll
interesting.
continue to listen. Thanks.
No,
Well,
I
that's
call
what
this a
they did
learning
to me,
experience
Frank.
because now I'm going to look this up and I'm going to find some sources on it. So
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, Frank, please. But here's Dr. Standinger's number. I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to take it down?
Hold on 1 second. I have to get a couple things out of the way and grab a pen. I've been wanting Dr. Staninger or Margot Kidder, listen to me, on this show for a long time. And I'd love to have her on the show. It will help everyone learn and possibly get her some more TIs. All right. What's her number?
Yeah. 323-466-2599.
Okay.
But what she says is true, Frank. They can really do
Oh, yes.
that.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that they were doing that, though.
Yes. Yes, they are.
I believe you. I believe you completely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Can do.
what you're saying is that they are actually broadcasting chemicals.
No.
They're shooting them, Frank.
Okay.
They're
Particle
able
key
to
weapons.
pulse. They are able to pulse a chemical into you.
Okay.
Through
They
your
shoot
nose,
it all
through
the way
your
from that
skin.
drone. Yes, there you go.
They can pulse you.
They shoot it from the sky and it's precise. They shoot you with precision. Found an implant. She found an implant on my sinus. They've added so many more. They're on my nose and on my mouth. If I block my nose and put earplugs in my nose, they shoot it into my mouth. I can feel the little burst of air. And trust me, I feel sick. I feel toxic. My hands start to ache from their poisons.
You know what? When they did that to me, I could taste it. You know how you get a shot in the arm
Yes.
and you can
Yes.
taste it in your mouth? They used to do that to me, and I could taste it in my mouth.
I can too.
A metal
It tastes
taste?
like a chemical.
A
A
metal
chemical. It tastes like a chemical.
Right.
Chemical.
Oh yeah, that's easily done.
Oh yeah. And Robert David Steele, I don't know if you all have seen his video. You might want to look this up. Robert David Steele, he used to work for the CIA, and he's also like a Nobel Peace Prize nominee or whatever. But he's got this video on YouTube. It's called Robert David Steele, The Deep State and Everything Else. I thought I'd send it to you, Frank, but if you scroll about 3/4 of the way into it, there's a woman who's interviewing him, and she asks him, are people being targeted with particle beam weapons? And before she could even finish the question, he said yes. He mentions Bill Binney and Kurt Wiebe doing the survey. He said targeted individuals are experimental animals. And they are, he said, you have to watch it, but he said they're looking forward to a day when they can send the body that is so full of metals and other chemicals a signal, and it will explode from the inside. This is really important. It will explode from the inside and not create a body disposal problem. And then he goes on to say this is some very sick stuff. I really would love for you all to listen to that on YouTube. So just scroll forward if you don't want to hear his whole interview. 3/4 of the way and listen. Because these people doing this to us are the New World Order. They want to reduce the population. I'll retext it to you.
Okay.
They want to reduce the population down from 6 billion people down to 500 million.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would they be concerned about a body disposal problem? So they are experimenting on us, trying to find a way so they can kill off a lot of people worldwide. That's why they took those weapons to other countries. Americans did that. They took those weapons to other countries because this is about world domination, the New World Order. You better look it up.
What's Steele's first name?
Robert David Steele. And the name of that interview is called The Deep State and Everything Else. Scary stuff. And he knows, having worked for the CIA.
Okay, do you realize how many people that I've checked out and run through my system that don't work for anybody? They don't work for the CIA. They don't work for anybody.
No. He does. He does.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Promise you. Look him up, Frank.
Yeah.
He's quite impressive.
Well, I am one that wants to learn. I want to learn so I can pass it on. So I'm going to research this at length and come back with my opinion. Particle beams have been around for a long time. If you get hit with a particle beam, you'll know it. Why? You'll have pieces where it hit.
No. We do know it. We feel it.
Okay. It'd have to
I
be
don't know if it
mild
is
particle beam, because particle beams were developed as weapons that will really do some interesting damage. Particle
Frank,
beams
I
I
don't
do
know
know
if
about.
this is a particle beam. I don't know. I think it's just a pulse of some kind. I'm not saying it's a particle beam. I wouldn't know
Directed
that.
energy. Same thing. Directed energy weapons. What's the difference? Yeah. Same.
Well,
it's so futuristic. It's so scary. Sci-fi. It's so scary. And I'm too old for this. I'm in my 50s. Why am I being hit with these futuristic weapons?
Yeah, I will tell you something that I have discovered, and we'll see if you can relate it. People from 50 and up, will say, are more in tune to what's going on with college and just life experience alone. I don't believe that the higher ups really want our age from 50 to, we'll say, 65 group to even exist. because they can educate the younger ones whatever way they want. Okay,
Right.
we know too much, and that's the bottom line.
Yep. That too.
Yeah, that's something I didn't really want to get into tonight, but because we're approaching 9 o'clock. But the whole upper tier of the population is in danger. Number one, you're approaching Social Security retirement age. That's a big chunk of money. The Social Security is very closely watched in this country, and it is being depleted, and it will be depleted to the point where it is no longer there. And this.
Wait a minute, Frank. Social Security is not being depleted. The only reason Social Security is being depleted is that the government has gone into that lockbox and taken out everything on top of what is paid out. But Social Security is the most successful program that the government ever had, because everything that everybody's put in there, it doesn't even come to where it's been more than successful.
Okay, let me tell you something.
The payout doesn't even match the money coming in, but the government has taken the excess out and spent it on whatever they want.
Let me tell you
And
something.
so that means that it's still being depleted. And
No,
these
it's not.
baby boomers-
No, it's not. Social Security has not been depleted. Get that through your head.
Excuse me.
The only reason they say it's been depleted is
there's
because
less money. It means that there's less of something.
No.
That's what depleted means.
Social
There's
Security
less of-
has not been depleted. That's what the Republicans want you to believe, because they want to get rid of Social Security so that they can take the taxes for Social Security,
Okay, Barb.
put it into everything else.
Barbara.
For
How do you
whatever reason
feel-
it is, Barb, there are millions and millions and millions of baby boomers in whatever years those are, who are coming into the age of eligibility. And there is not enough funds, for whatever reason,
Thank you.
to cover those people.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Both of you are wrong. I've done
May I
extensive study on this.
interject
I
something
know
that I've been
you're
trying
wrong.
to say for the last 5 minutes?
No.
Okay. How does it make you feel, after working in this country all your life, to see Arabs, or not specifically Arabs, but from those nations, coming into this country and getting full Social Security benefits regardless of age? Now that number was 10,000 immigrants. So 10,000 immigrants are collecting your Social Security. Barbara, comment on that if you would.
I have been following Social Security for a long, long time. This goes back to the early 90s, because there was talk then that Social Security was depleted then. But this was because the Republican Party wanted to get rid of Social Security, because they want to use the full benefits for whatever they want. They want the people off Social Security. They feel it's a socialistic program, which it is, but it's the most successful program the government has ever had.
You didn't
Now,
answer my question, Barb.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. As far as these people getting Social Security, I don't know about that. I'd have to see that in paper. I really don't know.
I read it and I don't like.
Think that you can go to Social Security because they vet you very well. They vet you for 6 months to a year, a lot of people. And they make sure that you are who you are, and what you get is what you get. But as far as immigrants coming here and getting Social Security, I don't know that. I
Okay,
have not seen.
my source is CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, broadcast when the first 10,000, wait a minute now, I'm wrong on my numbers. When the first 10,000 came to the country, so they're actually probably by now 100,000. 250,000 were put on Indian reservations for the Indians to deal with. 10,000 came into Louisiana, I believe, or one of the southern states, and came in that way. But we've had.
I'll look into it. I will look into it.
Thank you. We've had immigrants come in from Iraq and Egypt, all over the place, all over there.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
White ones come
But I will also tell you that whenever the Republicans speak of Social Security, they always say that it's depleted. They always couple it with Medicaid. And Medicaid is not as successful as Social Security. But if you put the two together, then Social Security is a failure also. And they used to pull this crap all the time when they talk about Social Security. They'd say, oh, Social Security and Medicaid, they're both a failure. Well, if you put them together,
theoretically, the baby boomers.
It's not just Republicans, it's politicians of all spectrums.
I don't
Because
give
they're
a fuck.
politicians.
It's been mostly the Republicans who wanted to get rid of Social Security, and I've been following this for 25 years.
Bob,
They
let's
want to
see
get
these
rid of all social
Let's see
programs mainly, but all politicians talk about it in those terms, no matter what their party affiliation
No,
is.
it's been the Republicans. I'm sorry. They wanted to get rid of the Social Security for a long time. And I
You
know
got a right to your
that
own opinion. I got a right to.
it's not my opinion, it's fact.
Frank?
Yes.
Hi, this is Beth from Florida. How are you?
Very good. Nice to hear from
Good.
you.
Yeah, thank you. I've been just listening to the calls and stuff. Just got electricity a few days ago. I just wanted to make a comment on the issue, the subject you guys were just talking about.
Great.
A lot of stuff has already started with our government. So blaming just because immigrants come to our country, it's not their fault. It's not. I mean, a lot of stuff that our government's been doing with Social Security and borrowing from it, that's gone over 20, 30, 40 years. And another thing I want to comment, or just my idea about it, is like, we came from, my background, I came from Europe. And what I found, even working in a hospital, is that a lot of the older people that might be in Medicare age are not collecting because they didn't work in this country. So illegal aliens cannot collect Social Security. They have to be a legal citizen, and they have to work to get Social Security. There's no way they're going to have them fill out that an application for Social Security or Medicare without being a legal citizen and having worked.
Okay.
And I typed at this lady from Mexico. She was in her 90s, and I felt bad for her. She had a bad heart condition, but she had no insurance. So, like I said, they have to be legal citizens and they have to work. But even the problems with our government now has been 30, 40 years ago already. I mean, it's not an immigrant's problem.
Mr.
They're not the
Obama
ones
gave
to
the
blame.
okay. Mr. Obama started the influx, okay, of Islamic people. And I have nothing against Islamic people, but what I do have
That's started under Bush.
no,
That's
what I don't like
in the
is,
Iraqi war.
excuse me, it was back then that I heard on the news, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, that the Islamic refugees that were coming into the country, I posted about it. They first came in down south at 10,000 at a time, and they are getting Social Security, and they are also upset because it's not very much money. So,
well, what kind of Social
Can
Security
I
are they
say
getting?
something,
I have
Frank?
Yeah.
Why would you believe Fox News in the first place?
What about CNN?
CNN is kind of shaky.
What kind of Social Security are they getting?
Probably SSI, but they were getting full benefits.
Yeah, but they have to be a citizen.
I know what the law says. Mr. Obama
Yeah.
bent the law considerably. With all due respect, he was my president.
Well, I know the only thing I'm just saying that there's a lot of, I mean, they're not going to let just anybody just come over here and collect Social Security though.
Check it out.
For disability, or they have to be. I mean, even right now, I don't even qualify for stuff, and I need help.
I will try and look up the executive order if I can.
Please do.
That's time that I have to spend on politics that I should be spending on TIs. And
Don't make me feel guilty.
Well, we can just drop the subject. I was just making a comment on it because
a lot of. This has been a good call because see, we all get to learn each other a little more. We all get closer as we share our views on everything. So that's why I don't bar out any topics. I try to stay on topic if I can. But if something as diverse as this takes the floor, it's good for us to all learn what we all are thinking about it, because it brings us closer together.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
I
horrified.
wish we had more organization in our state as far as getting the groups together, because some people I've talked to in Florida are not interested in participating in much, and they're great to talk to on the phone, and then after that they just like, well, we don't listen to conference calls that much. So I don't know whether they're real TIs or not.
There you go.
It's just very hard. It's very, very hard to find people that are genuinely wanting to connect, because being isolated, which is the first thing they do to all of us, and they discredit us, we need each other.
Exactly.
You know, I found that about Florida too. I contacted a couple of TI groups down there, and they were just not interested at all.
Well, I don't know about that because I lived in Florida for many years, and Zach was there when I became aware of what was happening to me in 2013. And there are many TIs in Florida. Now we had a call at one point in time, but the situation was people were getting hit so hard. I mean, everybody's hit hard. I'm not even going to quantify that. But you know, you try to live your life. If you're working, you got to work. So it's a lot of different situations. I wouldn't just say that people are not interested. People are trying to conduct the business of their lives on top of what's being done to them is all. And sometimes the calls are, are the least of it. So, if they can't make it, I'm not going to judge them for that. It's just a lot going on with everybody.
I know Florida and California are both heavy states because they're big time military.
Can I interject one thing?
Go ahead.
I noticed there are a lot of new people on the call tonight. My name is Frank Allen. You can reach me at 508-857-8334 anytime to discuss anything that's on your mind. Feel free. If you're cornered in the middle of the night, call me. I'll spend the time. And I just wanted to put that in there. And my email address is frank, F-R-A-N-K, thearcher@gmail.com. It's THEARCHER @gmail.com. But feel free.
Frank, it's Sandy. Before you wind things up, just please keep in mind what I texted you about the other day. Okay, thank you.
Sandy, you're in New Hampshire, right?
Yes, I am.
Sandy's fantastic.
Maybe you could have something. Do you have a vehicle?
I do not.
Do you know who Mike Mason is?
I do.
Are you going to the conference?
That I don't think so, because I'm trying to move back to my hometown, which is Pittsburgh, because I'm not working right now. I had my kidney removed, one of my kidneys removed 6 months ago. My health is just not optimal, and so housing costs in New England are so I can, I'm thinking just really about heading back to Pittsburgh, where housing costs aren't as expensive.
Frank, I've got a comment.
Sure.
I was trying to figure something out with the TIs as far as how we can find the perps, and I delved more deeper thought with it, and I'm thinking more. It's been determined that they target single people, disabled, and retired.
Correct.
Now the perps would also. I mean, it's just a possibility of how they're choosing us. They would have to have, if they could have an access to a database. Even the IRS has our marital status, income, address. Then they can narrow down male, female, or whatever. But they can. I mean, that would be a way. I was thinking that would be how they are choosing us. A possibility of how they're choosing us.
That could be very well.
And they look at location. I'm in a desolate area. I'm in a very rural area, and not having a lot of people. I live in a semi-retirement area, and actually out in the country pretty much. And because most of my friends were at my job, and I keep in touch with them every so often, but not really. I don't really have anyone to talk to, and they know that, so they kind of narrow everything down to, okay, we're going to bombard you in your house. But the more I thought about it, I thought they would have to have access to a database or something that they can actually print out and know a list of single people, people who are still single, were disabled, and then the single people are under 65. I'm not close to retirement, but I think they're trying to get me home, force me to be homeless or something. I don't know. So if they do, they can target me if I'm homeless. They can target me more when I'm homeless. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to get a job now, and they screwed up a job I had. I got in July, and it didn't work out, and there was a lot of bullshit, a lot of lies that were said about me. I was completely discredited at the job when I've already had a great record at my first job I had for 24 years. But I was trying to figure out they would have to have access to some kind of database or something. It's not like our perps are walking the street saying, what about that one? What about this one? They don't just pick you up the street.
To a lot of databases, you got Social Security, you got IRS.
Ask yourself who has access. Ask yourself who would have access to all of that.
NSA. That's what Snowden said. Everybody's profiled. I always
NSA, that even IRS has a list of people, so whoever has access to them.
I'll say it again.
They got it right there.
Everybody who's profiled is going to be a target. Everybody's going to be a target because everybody's
they're targeting certain people, though, single, disabled, and retired.
Right.
They're not targeting married people. They're not targeting people in big cities.
All that's in
really
NSA.
Big cities.
They are.
Anyway, that was just a thought I had.
Targeted in a big city, a small city, the size of the city doesn't matter. You could be targeted anywhere.
No, I know. I'm just saying. One guy mentioned on the call last night that he actually moved into a bigger city, and it was very congested. And he said his targeting tapered down a lot since he was around so many people, and very, very busy areas. So I'm just guessing. I don't know.
I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
All right, thanks. Okay. It was just an observation. I mean, I was trying to think.
Do you live in a big city or a smaller city?
I live in a very small town, 3,000 people.
I moved to a small town, and I actually moved from kind of really big cities to a small town, and I prefer a smaller town, and this is just my
I do
own
too.
opinion, simply because there's generally a lot less stuff that they do that wouldn't be really noticeable in a smaller town.
Exactly. And also, I mean, and what they're thinking of is someone that no one will miss. And if you are out in a rural area, they can target you. They can isolate you more in a rural city.
Yeah, but you can at least identify them and know where they're coming from and throw rocks at them. That's
So,
what
like I said, it was just an observation, and I thought, well, who has access to to these databases? I mean, they don't just pick us up off the street and say, "Oh, what about that one?" So
I live
they're
on
not
a
just gonna.
street in downtown Peabody, which is a small city, and these guys pulse the hell out of me all the time driving by.
Yep.
They get all my neighbors in my apartment building pissed at me because they get hit. They hate my guts. So I
Also,
moved from.
remember, your car is emitting a lot of EMF. You've got electrical all over that car. That they concentrate their weapons more on you, because when my targeting started in 2014, my chest pain was severe, and it was every other day. I had a lot of chest pain when I was driving the car, more than when I was at work or at home. So
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and it was just more of that, and I still had the headaches and the swelling in my eyes, above my eyes. But I mean, you think about it, your car is not just the engine, but the electric windows. You got electric locks. All of that's around you, so they can take advantage of that. I'm just saying it's possible.
They take advantage of a lot of things, because those road markers that they can be hacked, because they have oh gosh, I forget the name. It starts with a V. I think is the brand name. I'll have to look it up for the next call. But the reason I found out about them was because when I lived in Florida, I guess it was a road crew or whatnot come out and put one out, like right in the middle of the street in front of the house. And so I said, well, that's interesting. In all the years I've lived here, they've never put one out there before. So I kind of did a little digging around about it, because one of my other former neighbors, who I believe was involved in this thing, was very interested in that as well. And so when I looked it up, I found out that they have a microprocessor, so anything with a microprocessor can be hacked. And then there was a reference that has since been wiped clean, to my knowledge, because I tried to find it a few times after I found it initially. It's something named Hit the Bear, HIT the Bear, that those road markers, or something similar to those road markers, were used in amusement parks and, like fairs and whatnot, sort of in their shooting games. And so I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because what I think my former neighbor torturer was planning on doing was using that. And I went out there and I poured, what did I pour on it? Like bleach and some other stuff, and dug it right on up and got rid of it. And I think he was I was like, well, if they want to come and talk to me about it, I'm going to tell them I dug it right on up. But I think that he was a little upset about that. And I wish I could find that article online. Oh my God, I wish I had printed it out. But So there's a lot of things that, so if you're driving down the road, you know, you have these markers every so many feet in the road, you know, they can use that to get at you too.
Reviewing primary directives.
The heck? Yep.
The heck was that?
I what that was.
Perp.
Yeah, I agree with Derek. Derek mentioned on his call one time, even though, I mean, it's horrible when they do that to us, but being on a recorded line, we even have them on a recorded line when they do that.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
What is online?
You gotta be like.
But anyway, that's what I was trying to figure out, because even in my area, I have no idea. The radio frequency is mostly what they use on me, and it's the V2K is very, very bad. And even after when Hurricane Irma hit, 8.5 days with no electricity, and having to hop in the shower just to cool off. I still had water, but just cooling off, it felt better anyway. And the V2K is satellite, so electricity in my house, nothing matters. So what I've been doing, what I normally do is I turn the radio on when I get up in the morning. So I'm refocusing my brain to hear that and listen to that and try to block them out, or I watch a movie on my computer, or listen to different, just listen to music all day or something, because it's constant. Everything I do, every emotion is verbalized. Everything is verbalized, and it can get to the point where you want to bang your head against the wall and say, stop, knock yourself out. But it was very bad. As far as the V2K is very, very bad when Hurricane Irma, or after Hurricane Irma hit, because we didn't have electricity for 8.5 days.
So did you feel anything when the electricity was out?
Yes, ma'am. Because radio frequency, what I'm discovering more and more is the radio frequency. They can do all kinds of stuff with it. And with the V2K involved, the V2K with the constant comments and stuff like that. If I have to, I get up in the middle of the night and they're repeating a song, and they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. In fact, what I did, and I was going to start recommending people to do it, I go on YouTube and I look up meditation music, and like Frank, you mentioned stuff like that as well, which is very, very good.
Yes.
I think it was the Schumann's resonance, and
right.
So I record it on my little voice recorder, and then I play it when I go to sleep. So instead of listening, because they're using isochronic tones with me with the V2K, which is a single sound, and it's a monotone sound. I've not had silence for 3.5 years, so I play that music, I record it on my voice recorder and play it while I'm sleeping. And it helps to a point.
So what you're saying is you have some sort of oral, stimulation going on pretty much 24/7.
Yes, sound.
Not just the V2K, but I mean
it's constant sound, and they communicate to me with music. They'll repeat like Jose, can you see Star Spangled Banner? I mean, all kinds of music that will have hints. They'll repeat lyrics to me to see if I get the message, because mine started with secret messages from somebody's account on Twitter. So from that point on, they've used music to communicate to me as far as, good and bad or whatever they're trying to convey to me. And I'll be up in the middle of the night and I can hear the music going, and they'll repeat lyrics in the music. And then, of course, I'll turn my tape recorder back on and my voice recorder, and I'll listen to that and try to get the song out of my head. But it's constant sound. It's mostly it's the isochronic tone, which is a single sound. It's a deep sound. Does bring on negative emotion. And they had me up and down all for the last 2 months or so. Had my moods up and down, and my emotions were really bad. And knowing about it's one thing, but when they get you so depressed to the point where you don't feel like even getting out of bed, it's very difficult to force yourself to get out, even or getting up to do dishes, getting up to do laundry, doing your housework, and get to the point where you just are blah. You're just very lethargic. So when I'm starting to record this music on the meditation music, it's helped just listening to it. It'll put me in it because according to the article I read, the isochronic tones, the article actually said it's rumored that they can change your brain frequency in 6 minutes. So if all these emotions you might be feeling, they can play it to a certain volume level you don't even know or recognize or can acknowledge it. But it's there. You can be listening to the song, and that sound, they'll blend it with the sound. I noticed it when I watch movies on my computer, and they'll blend the sound with the movie, and whatever frequency it's at, it will change your brainwave frequency, which alters emotion. And then you wonder why you feel irritable when you're like, wait a minute, why do I feel tense? Why do I feel anxious? They can do that in about 6 minutes.
Let me give you something to look up or Google. It's Hendrikus G. Loos, L-O-O-S. First name is H-E-N-D-R-I-C-U-S, middle initial G as in go. And so Google his name and patents. Or
Hendrikus
Google his
Loos.
Hendrikus,
H-E-N-D-R-I-C-U-S.
Yep.
And Loos, L-O-O-S.
Yep. And patents associated with him. He talks about how, these frequencies come in through your television.
Yeah.
You
can be listening to them and not even be aware of it.
Exactly.
And then you wonder why, because they had me so lethargic and depressed and angry. And I wake up thinking about something, and I just start feeling angry again. And the thing is, when they know you're upset about something, they'll agitate you even more. They'll add to it, and they're looking for a reaction. They're looking to piss you off or say or do something. And that's primarily what they've done with me. It's the brainwave frequencies is what the frequencies they are using to alter my emotions.
Okay, folks, we have to proceed over to Linda's call, if you choose to. She's on TalkShoe. The numbers are 140-091.
Okie-dokie.
Okay, Frank. Thank you.
All right, I might be on at midnight. I'm not sure. After Linda's call?
Yeah.
Okay, so check.
Oh, okay. Okay. Right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Barbara? I guess she hung up.